Adult friendships, am I right? They suck. No, I'm joking. They don't suck, but my God, are they tricky. My God, are they difficult to manage. And I guess it's always a question of mine. It's like, why do we fall out of friendships? And I thought about them, and I have 3 or 4 reasons that I'm going to run through in this video, and I'd love to hear your thoughts. So let's get started. First of all, people change, and that is natural, and that is unavoidable, and it is just life. People grow, and when I say change, I don't mean change in a bad way with no kind of negative connotation. I literally just mean that people grow, and sometimes that growth is not in sync. And so that's the number one reason, I think, and I've had to digest this myself so I don't feel bad all the time, but friendships are really they're difficult to maintain for an indefinite or infinite period, right? Like, you meet someone at school, for example, and you're in the same form, and you see each other every day, and you have the same friendship group, and you have the same homework and the same freeze in 6th form or whatever. Of course, your lives are so similar that it's easy to maintain a friendship just because of proximity. And then naturally, as time goes on, maybe you go to different universities, so you're not together for 3 months at a time because you're both at your unis, and you come back for a week or 2 break in between terms. You have someone together, but you're talking as much as you can. Obviously, as a student, you have a lot more free time. Like, you study and then you're free with your friends, you're hanging out, so it's easy to maintain like text conversations and some kind of communication channel. Then you finish university, you come back home, you have another summer together, and you're back to being friends. And then you go back to the next stage of chapter, which is working, and you have different jobs now, and then maybe you have different circles because you live in different parts of London, and your careers are different, so there's less synergy there, and then maybe you're like different hobbies, and so you're just not doing the same things. That doesn't mean that person hates you or is worth less to you as a friend, or is a bad person, or has done anything wrong. It just means that you guys have grown apart, and sometimes that happens naturally. And whilst it's still just as sad and still just as heartbreaking, it's one of those things you can't really avoid. And so I'm trying to remind myself that, like, look, this life thing, this friendship thing, sometimes it is just, there isn't a reason. Nothing bad has happened. I think the only thing with that is that friendships that naturally grow apart or fizzle, it's different if they fizzle naturally. I think it's tough if it feels one-sided, and maybe you are still viewing that friendship as the same and wanting to be engaged or involved, but the other person isn't. Like, that's always difficult. I find that's always quite hard. But alas, such is life. The second reason, you're better than that person. And that can sound conceited or self-absorbed or arrogant, but honestly, sometimes you've held friendships for so long because you genuinely just thought that was the quality of friendships you deserved. And as you grow into an adult and yourself and understand your value and worth and power, you actually decide that, you know what, this person is just not worth being my friend. Like, they're a bad communicator, they're selfish, they're self-involved. Sorry, there are children crying outside my window. They never support me. I don't get anything in return. It's a one-way street. They're a user. They draw stuff from me. And I think you have to just think to yourself, you know what? I don't want to be friends with you anymore. And so sometimes it actually comes from the self, the realization of, actually, you know what? There's less value for me in kind of really leaning in and putting all this time and effort into this person. And so instead, you just realize that person isn't worth being friends with. And so sometimes it's a harsh thing to realize when you realize that actually what I want from a friend and what I'm getting from this friend is just not enough. And so I actually have to just be like, you know what? Peace, I'm out, kind of thing. But it doesn't make it any easier. Again, if you've been friends with someone for 10 years, like I have with some friends that I've realized that they just were bad friends, you then realize that, like, oh, actually I have to now kind of unwind the version of you that I thought I had as a friend, because I realized that you're actually just a bad friend. And sometimes some people are just bad friends, and it's not because they do it intentionally. They just don't know how to be present and how to show support and be loving and considerate and to think about how to maintain a mutually beneficial friendship. They only know how to think about themselves, and people are innately selfish, right? I think people have issues. They're gonna kind of come to you, I need help, and they have a question, they're gonna come to you, I need help with this question, and they need something, they're gonna ask you. And if there isn't anything else for them to talk about, maybe you're not saying anything that is wrong in your life, they just don't see the value in coming to you. And so I think sometimes it is just that the person is a bad friend, and so you realize that and you separate yourself. Third reason, you start setting boundaries. some people just cannot handle boundaries being set. And I think if you have been in a friendship for a long period of time, or you are someone that never set boundaries and never stood up for yourself and never said, I don't like this and I like this and I won't do that, and I can only speak to you at these times when I need time to myself to do whatever. If you, and I have been guilty of this in most of my friendships, have been someone that was always boundaryless. You're available whenever they call, you're always willing to give them help, you're going to drop what you do to come and see them, you're going to drive them to the airport, you're going to pick them up from here, you're going to give them money when they need money, you're going to, defend them in arguments, you're going to fall out with people they fall out with, and everything that they need and want, you just do without question. Of course, as I said before, people are selfish. They become accustomed to that and know that this person will just do what I need for me, and so it can be very shocking for the psyche and for their sense of self when one day you say no. You say, no, actually, you know what, I can't speak today, can I call you tomorrow? Or I really, I can't keep talking like this anymore. I've given you advice and you're not taking it. So like, I just don't want to keep repeating myself. So like, I wish you the best, but like, if you're going to keep seeing this person, I can't really give you advice on that. Or like, you know what, I don't appreciate it when you kind of demand stuff from me and then never actually help me out when I need help. So I'm going to just take a step back and like, just recalibrate for a little bit. I've done this with a few friends. They've literally had a meltdown. Like, they're like, how can you say this to me? Like, I've always done this for you, and you never asked that. I don't even know that you need help. And it becomes an attack. Suddenly they're attacking me and telling me I'm a bad person. I did this and I did that. And I think for me, if anything, that experience of them attacking me is always like, okay, well, wow. Like, I know I've been rational. I've come to you in a kind of normal and emotional and vulnerable way and said, this is how I feel, and I feel like I'm not getting what I need from this friendship, and I care about you, but what I need is X, Y, and Z, and these are my boundaries. And I'm getting back, no, like, I'm not, like, you're wrong, I'm not a bad person, I don't need to do that, I can't do that, and I won't do that. And then it's like, okay, fine, like, this is you saying that I refuse to compromise or contribute to this relationship or friendship, and so actually it's my way or the highway. And that sometimes makes it easier to be like, you know what, we don't need to be friends, because I'm not, like, the person you are is not someone I want to be friends with. So sometimes it is just like you set boundaries and suddenly they can't handle it. And the fourth reason, I think, sometimes is that people have used you, and once they've got all the value they think they can get out of you, they drop you. And this may sound harsh, and it's harsh as I'm saying it and hearing it to myself, but I was speaking about this with my siblings yesterday, and some people are just users, and it's sad and it's painful, but it really is, the bottom line is that some people are just users, and they can dress it up by saying thanks all the time and maybe being funny or like making you feel like they really care about you, so they can keep you in a place where they can continue to use you. But once someone feels like they've got all the value out of you, and this is not everyone, and not all friendships are bad, and these are all quite negative, but it's just the truth. Sometimes when someone realizes or feels like or decides they can't actually use you anymore, they can't get value out of you anymore, they can't purely just drain and draw what they want from you, they're just going to stop engaging, because for them it's like, well, this person isn't giving me what I want, and I want what I want, so I'm going to get it elsewhere. Once you start maybe being more distant or replying to texts maybe a bit more slowly, or kind of putting, again, your boundaries in place, that person might just realize, actually, you know what, this person has no use to me. And sometimes it's, again, like, if you're, maybe I've had this with people before, they're going through an interview process, and so like they need help with a certain kind of interview style, and so like in the months coming up to it, they're asking me questions, and how do I prep for this and how do I prep for that, and could you read my CV, and could you like quiz me and whatever, all these kind of things, do a mock interview and whatever. And then they get the job, and suddenly like that distance just comes back, because for them it's like, well, at this stage now I no longer need to use this person, so I'm going to just remove myself, because I don't need anything from them. And as you kind of go through different stretches of a friendship, if there stops being in this person's mind a way they can use you because they have a job now, maybe they have a partner and then a happy relationship, and then they don't live close to you anymore, so they can't even see you and have you as someone to hang out with for fun, then they just stop engaging. And I've seen this before with people, when they're in their relationships and they're having issues and having fights, they come to you for advice, they have all these questions, and suddenly when the relationship is stable again, they're nowhere to be found. They have no need to come to you and talk to you anymore, because they only come to you when they need an outlet or someone to vent to about their problems. And so eventually it becomes a case of like, well, the person just feels like they don't need you anymore because they've got someone else they can just use or rely on. And it is truly painful to just be dumped and to be used and to be thrown to the wind. But it's the reality of life that people do that. And sometimes you're going to lose people, but I always see it as a blessing. I think, well, this is God or life removing things that are bad for me out of my life against my will, because I maybe deep down would still want to be friends with that person and keep them around, but like it's not meant to be. And so sometimes if I'm not gonna do the thing I need to do and remove them, sometimes life is like, I'll do it for you, and like you're gonna have to learn the hard way, and so they just get taken out. And I'd rather, and I don't know about you, not have a user as a friend or a user in my life than have a user. So it's painful, but it's always for the best. So those are my 4 reasons why I think we fall out of adult friendships, and they're strong, hard-hitting reasons, but I think they're ones that are truthful and things I've realized recently, just been thinking about it. And yeah, I mean, tell me if you agree, tell me if you disagree. Let me know what reasons you've fallen out with friends or fallen out of friendships, and how you've navigated it, and what you found hard and what's been difficult. I love seeing people commenting, so please do comment, I'll reply. And if you like this video, please do let me know. If there are any topics you want me to cover, also let me know. And please be sure to subscribe for more videos, and I'll see you on the next video. Thank you for watching.